In this series, we traveled north through Helsinki, one of our favorite cities in the world, and across the Baltic Sea to the medieval town of Tallinn. If you're planning a similar trip yourself, this video brings together the complete story of our journey. Enjoy! As soon as we landed, we hopped on a train that goes from the airport straight to the city center. This ride only takes about half an hour and costs €4.40 on the HSL app, which is the official app of local public transport authority. No cash needed. We then arrived at the central station, right in the heart of the city. At the entrance, you'll come across these famous huge statues of 4 lantern bearers, the first evidence of the distinctive Finnish art. And there's a lot of statues in Helsinki. But before we did any sightseeing, we went to check into our hotel. We stayed in City Box Hotel, which lies about a 20-minute walk away from the city center. For a budget hotel, it was very nice and modern. We paid €66 per night, which is not bad for Nordic standards. After a short break, we started the first part of our sightseeing at the Zoo Bay, which is right next to the hotel and connects the neighborhood of Kallio, where we are staying, with the city center. But because we arrived here in the afternoon, we took a walk to the other side through the park. This tall tower that stands out from the otherwise unassuming neighborhood is the Kallio Church. Built in the style of National Romanticism, it's a representative of the period when Finland was fighting for independence. And then, because it was late, we went to taste some local delicacies. We enjoyed the local cuisine very much. Then again, and again. And after all that, it was time to go to bed. The next morning, we finally went to visit some of Helsinki's highlights. So our first stop of the day is the Helsinki Cathedral, one of the most recognizable landmark of the city, which is unfortunately for us under construction. It was built in 1852, and until the Finnish independence, it was known as St. Nicholas Church, to honor the Finnish Duke and the Russian Tsar Nicholas I. And in the adjacent square, there is a statue of his successor, Alexander II. Just 1 block away, right across this blue city hall, there's one of our favorite spots in the city. a street market next to the harbor where they sell street food and snacks, handmade crafts and souvenirs. Some of the souvenirs can be a bit pricey. But eventually, we found what we were looking for. And went to have something to eat. They had seafood, reindeer sausages, meatballs, pastry, pretty much everything really. But we went for the salmon soup, a pie, and a coffee. You can either sit inside in one of these tents, or embrace the Nordic tradition of freezing your butt off. And the salmon soup was amazing. Roman approves. From the harbor, you can take a ferry to the Korkeasaari Zoo or Suomenlinna Fortress. Both sit on their own small islands just outside of the city. Also, right next to the harbor is a seawater swimming pool. Obviously, it was too cold for us to go there. Just across the bridge to Katajanokka, there is another major landmark. Uspensky Cathedral, one of the largest Orthodox churches in Europe. Back in the city center, we continued our sightseeing and kept running into some unusual statues. These statues of seemingly odd designs are all over the city. Being a very modern city, Helsinki don't really have much of the old architecture that we have, for example, in Prague. That's because it was pretty much destroyed during the 1918 Civil War and during the Second World War when it was bombed by Soviets. And so nowadays it just has kind of plain looking architecture everywhere. At least that's what we saw anyway. And many of those monuments that they have here are stuff like this. This one, for example, is the memorial of the Winter War, but it's just not like an old, grandiose looking thing. It's kind of, modern art. That's what it is. But they have lots of those. There's a museum, which is closed, obviously. It's a little bit unfortunate that we came here during this time when kind of the whole city seems to be under construction somehow. In the city center, we came across this rather cute Moomin shop. If you're not familiar with those, Moomins are children's stories created by the Finnish author Tove Jansson. They're about the Moomin family, which are these little trolls that look like white hippos. Moomins are also quite popular in other parts of Europe. As we continued walking north, we arrived to the Parliament House. Across the street from there is the central library called Ode, Museum of Contemporary Art, live music venue, and more statues. From here, we walked through the seaside park back to Kallio, had some dinner, and went to sleep. The next day, we went to the suburbs and visited places that made us very happy indeed. Our first stop of the day is Kappila, a peaceful green neighborhood that's full of charm and color. If you come to Finland looking for the traditional Nordic architecture of wooden houses, playing with many colors, as you can see behind us, you have basically two options. One area is called Valila, and it is closer to the city center, but the houses are bigger, so it kind of still feels like a city. Or the second option, which is this one, this area is called Kappila. It has much more of a village feel to it, and there are almost no people whatsoever, just us. Kappila is a residential area built about 100 years ago in the 1920s. Inspired by Ebenezer Howard's Garden City concept from England, this neighborhood was designed to provide nature-friendly and affordable housing for working-class people. Most of the wooden houses consist of basement, 2 stories, and a pitched roof. Since the neighborhood has been protected as a conservation area since 1971, its historic appearance has been mostly preserved. It's a really calm and a peaceful neighborhood with quiet streets, wooden houses, and lots of trees and gardens. It's just a genuinely pleasant place to be. And today, even in weather as gloomy as this, it's a really nice place to take a walk. Kappila is well connected to the city center of Helsinki by tram lines 1 or 1T, as well as several bus lines. However you choose to get here, the trip takes about half an hour, and the ticket costs €3.20. And since we're on the bus right now, you have time to give a like to this video if you've liked it so far. We'd appreciate it very much. After we got back to the city and fueled up, we continued sightseeing at the Rock Church. That is officially the weirdest church I've ever seen. This Lutheran church opened in 1969 and was built into granite rock. And you can walk on top to see the copper dome from outside. We kept walking through the district of Tolo, which once again gave us the idea of what it would be like to live in Helsinki. Yes, that's how much we like it here. Eventually, we arrived to the Hietaniemi beach, which may not be very scenic, but the walk from here north along the coast is very pretty. Along the way, we stopped at Café Regatta for a very delicious cinnamon bun and a hot chocolate. Looking back, this was one of our most favorite moments of our Helsinki vacation. If you come here during the summer season, you can walk from here to Seurasaari Open Air Museum. When we were in Helsinki, the museum was closed, and instead we went to the Sibelius Park. Dedicated to Finland's beloved composer, it is made of hundreds of steel pipes made to look like a wave, which represents the flow of his music. Not too far from here, there is the Olympic Stadium, which hosted the 1952 Summer Olympics. For €7.50, you can also visit the 72-meter tall tower. The nearby Töölönlahti Park around this bay is a popular place to go for a walk or jogging. It's the perfect place to end the evening. On our last day in Helsinki, we went back to the city center and went inside the Helsinki Cathedral, because last time we were here, it was closed. The cathedral represents the Evangelical Lutheran Church, which is the largest religious denomination in Finland. And since we came here during Easter, we were lucky enough to see a small procession in front of the cathedral. For lunch, we came back to the central market because the food here is fresh, affordable, and delicious. This feast of fried fish, salmon soup and meatballs cost us €30, and it was worth every cent. What a lovely day for a picnic. And on the subject of food, Finland is not the most popular around the world for its cuisine, but from what we tried, we kind of liked everything, pretty much, right? So right now, for example, we just came out of a restaurant over there behind us called Sela that we were recommended by our friends and also by the internet. And we had a delicious reindeer with mashed potatoes and cranberry sauce on it, 23 €50. So pricey, but well worth it. When I say pricey, I really mean the face value, because the quality of the food and the service are worth every cent. The beer and sahti were good as well. Overall, we can absolutely recommend to go to Sela and try some of the traditional Finnish dishes they make. And we can say the same about the Central Market. Everything we tried here was amazing. Especially try the salmon soup and fried vendes. Roman approves. Just before we end, one last top tip. Finnish people will tell you that Helsinki has the best public transport in the world. We say that about Prague the same. Now, it may or may not be true, but what we found out is that Bolt actually is almost the same price around the city actually. Probably not outside of the city, but like around Helsinki, it will get you from one place to the other for about the same price, but for like half the time. So for us, that's what we ended up doing, actually taking a Bolt, especially in the morning and late evening. It was just all the same price and it was much more comfortable. So that's what we did. So even if you're in a Nordic country, do not reject Bolt or Uber. They may prove to be useful. The next day, we took a day trip by ferry across the Baltic Sea to the medieval town of Tallinn in Estonia. Getting from Helsinki to Tallinn is really straightforward. There are 3 different ferry operators running between the 2 cities: Tallinn, Viking and Eckerö. Since we were doing Tallinn as a day trip, we booked the first ferry of the day at 7:30 a.m. It was with Tallinn and we paid €42.60 for the return ticket. There are 2 ferry terminals in Helsinki. Which one is yours depends on the ferry line you choose. We went from the West Terminal. And since both Finland and Estonia are in Schengen, there's no customs check or security. Just scan your ticket and go. The ferry itself is huge, even bigger than it looks from the outside, and there's a lot to do as well. There are cafes, bars, even karaoke. But we just sat down and had some tea. The journey takes about 2 hours, and if you're lucky, you'll get to see the sunrise over the Baltic Sea. We arrived at exactly 9:30 and went straight to the city to begin our sightseeing. The harbor is large, but to get to the old town, It's an easy 15 minutes walk. And on the way you walk past the famous roast bakery, which was completely full when we passed it by. Tallinn's old town covers an area of just over 1 square kilometer, so it's easy to walk around in just a few hours. As most other medieval cities around Europe, wandering around the cobbled street is the best kind of sightseeing you can do. Some places you shouldn't miss are Rekoja Platz, which is the main square of the old city, St. Nicholas Church, and of course the city wall. This part is at the Danish King's Garden, and it's one of the most popular sections of the wall. So right here behind me is the Alexander Nevsky Cathedral, a Russian Orthodox church built by Russians, obviously, in 1900. And after the First World War, when the Russians were not very popular here, the Estonians actually thought about destroying it and building a park around here, which would make sense because on that side next to the church there is a very nice park, so it'd be like continuation of it. But they didn't have money to do it because they were poor, obviously, after the war, so they just let it stand. And personally, I'm quite happy about it because it is a very nice place to visit, even on the inside. You can't see it because it's not allowed to take pictures or videos inside, but trust me, it is nice. Go see for yourself. So because the medieval town is relatively small, just like any other medieval city in Europe, they were built very compact. It is quite easy to walk around. You don't need to take any public transport whatsoever. You just get off the boat, come here, walk around, and within 2 or 3 hours, we already feel like we've kind of seen everything. Actually, we've been here next to this church. We've already been here 3 times. It is also quite difficult to navigate, or is it just me? I don't know, but it is very pretty. A fun fact, throughout history, Estonia has been ruled by a couple of different countries: Denmark, Sweden, Russia, or Soviet Union. It was also occupied by Germans during the World Wars, but despite that, they still kept the original architecture. So everything you see around us here is still like medieval, from the 13th to 17th century-ish. And it hasn't been destroyed by the wars like it has been in Helsinki. And so it still looks kind of original. I know it's restored, but it looks like original architecture, like it was there 500 years ago this way, right?
Yeah, feels like a fairy tale, medieval city.
Yeah. Apart from seeing the views from the top of the walls, it's also a good idea to have a look inside. We went to see the monastery gate, which is kind of random, away from the more touristy places, but just as pretty. And for those €5 we paid, we had the wall and all 3 towers all to ourselves. This part of the city wall is in the northwest of the old town, nearest to the main train station. And it can be seen from the Batkuli viewing platform. Back in the city, we had some lunch and finished our sightseeing before we went back to the ferry, which was scheduled at 6 p.m. For our very last stop, we wanted to visit the KGB museum, but we weren't in luck this time. And so, because it was closed, we just went back to the ferry. And on that terrible disappointment, it's time to end. Thank you so much for watching, comment, subscribe, and see you next time.